Hello, witches. I am High Priestess ultimatum. Thank you for joining me here live on Instagram, or if you are watching this uploaded onto YouTube or Facebook. I really wanted to share my experience fully transitioning into a witch and a devotee of the Queen of Witches, Hecate. Most of you know that I started out as a devout follower of Jesus Christ, and then slowly started to study paganism, Wicca, and then witchcraft before meeting the Queen of Witches, Hecate, in the Catskills at a crossroads in the state of New York. I was devoted to Christ. I went to church, been baptized, had godparents, all that good stuff, all that gospel stuff, all that biblical stuff. But then I started to realize that that's not me. I started to question the Bible, question Jesus, question scripture. And it wasn't for me anymore. Not that I just gave up on Jesus. Not that I just stopped reading the Bible. I just felt like this Christianity was not for me anymore, and that my real purpose was to be a witch. But there was a point in my life as I was making that move from being a Christian to a witch, when I thought, now looking back on it, how stupid it was. Hey, can I put Jesus and Hecate together? Can Jesus and Hecate work together? Can Jesus and Hecate team up and help me in my life? It wasn't very soon that I realized that was a really bad idea. So I'm going to share my experience because it's really mind-blowing. So I had an altar, like most Christians, dedicated to Jesus Christ, and I had an altar dedicated to the Queen of Witches, Hecate, because like I just said, stupidly enough, I thought that they could team up, that they could work together. Jesus and Hecate cannot work together. There is no such thing as a Christian witch. There is no such thing as a Christian witch. That's not real. It's part of your imagination. I'm not trying to insult you or disrespect you, but that's the truth. There is no such thing as a Christian witch. So not knowing that for myself personally, I thought that, hey, maybe Jesus and Hecate could come together and work together. So I had my altar, like most, I would say, Catholics have an altar for Jesus, and I had my altar for Hecate. But when I would go to sleep at night, or when I would leave the house and come back home or wake up, things would be disorderly. Things from my altar to Jesus would be broken. Things from my altar for Jesus would be torn up. Things for my altar for Jesus would be missing, but my altar for Hecate would stay intact. Nothing was missing from Hecate. Nothing was torn up. Nothing was thrown around. It was neat and orderly like I had originally made it. But the altar to Jesus was always in disarray. Because I had a cat at the time, I was thinking maybe the cat had jumped on there and just had this inkling to target Jesus. But then I had a camera installed. It wasn't the cat. And I'm seeing on the camera with my own eyes things being torn apart on Jesus' altar. Things being broken on Jesus' altar. Things moving by themselves. Yes. Things moving by themselves on Jesus' altar, vanishing in front of my very eyes. But when I viewed the footage of Hecate, nothing moved. Nothing was broken. Nothing was being torn up. So I'm like, okay, I know I'm seeing things that should not move. I know I'm seeing things being torn to pieces, like pieces of scripture I would write, like petition to Jesus, messages to Jesus being torn apart. ripped to shreds, things moving by themselves off of his altar onto the floor. But Hecate stays nice and orderly. I've never seen anything move by itself before putting Hecate and Jesus together on the same table, but them having their own space. Because like I said earlier, I stupidly thought that Jesus and Hecate could get along. They cannot get along. So I started to change things around Hecate because maybe she wanted more of the table that she was stationed on. Maybe she wanted more of her own space. So I started slowly to downgrade what I had for Jesus. But it doesn't work though. It was not working. Things were still being in disarray in the area of Jesus. Even though he had his space and Hecate had her space. So then I decided, well, you know what? Just give them each their own table. But it was still happening. Even though they were no longer on the same table, it was the fact that Jesus was still in the house that was upsetting Hecate. You see, when you are a devotee of the Queen of Witches, it's either Hecate or Jesus or Muhammad or Allah or Hello Kitty, your dead grandmother, whoever. It's not because Hecate is petty or childish. It's because you have either chosen her to be your goddess or she has chosen you. I told you, I met Hecate at a crossroads in the Catskills of New York. She chose me. So for me to have another entity, deity like Christ, even in the house, was making her upset. And that's why she was messing with his space. Even though they were not on the same table. Even though they were separated. But when I finally decided to take all of my items related to Jesus and throw it in the trash, that's when this supernatural activity gone away stopped completely. That's when Hecate started to listen, to speak back to me, to show me the future, to show me which road I should go down, which road I should avoid. That's when my life started to get better. Real devotees of Hecate do not have space for entities like Jesus Christ. It's either Hecate or it's not. Or it's Hecate and, listen very carefully, it's either Hecate alone or a god or goddess that Hecate approves of. You can, I said this before, you can work with Hecate with another god or goddess if she approves. How do you know if she approves? If your altar to that other god or goddess is not being destroyed. Hecate is not a 16-year-old jealous girl. She's not petty. She's not childish. Listen, Hecate is a grown woman. A grown woman. Hecate is not a child. She is a grown woman. But you can work with Hecate with a god or goddess that she approves of. But if she doesn't approve of him or her, there is going to be problems in your house. Even if both of them have their own separate space, their own separate tables. You may have one in the attic. You may have one in the basement. It's the fact that they are still in the house. It's the fact that they are still on the property. So yes, when I got rid of all my Jesus Christ stuff, I took it off the property, not just out the house. Hecate wanted him gone off the property. If she had requested it, I probably would have taken him off of the planet, find some way to put him on a spaceship and send him to Jupiter. Oh yes, because I am a devotee of Hecate, the queen of witches. And when she tells me something or tells me I need to do something, I do it with no back talk, with no arguing. But when I saw that things on camera was being broken, was vanishing, was being torn up, I'm like, okay, Hecate may actually set something on fire if I don't remove Jesus immediately. So I had no choice. And when I did remove him from the property, not just the house, that's when I started to have real significant and permanently positive change through witchcraft. Not because Hecate wants me for herself, but because Hecate wants the best for me. And the best is her devotee, not sharing her. Not sharing her with other gods or goddesses. But like I said, you can work with other gods or goddesses if she approves. Ask her. Just ask her. Ask her, do you approve of me working with yourself and Athena, yourself and Isis, yourself and Aphrodite, yourself and Osiris? Ask her. But I promise you, she will say no to Jesus Christ. Why? Because there is no such thing as a Christian witch. That's fantasy. It's not real. That's a big reason why some witches don't have their spells working, because they are trying to make Hecate and Jesus team up, be a tag team. And that's why they have nothing but misery, unhappiness in their life. I've seen it. I just told you it happened to me. So I wanted to come on here and share this story to really encourage witches to either choose their god or goddess carefully, or be certain that if that god or goddess chooses you, you are going to be devoted to them and them alone, unless they give you permission to work with other gods and goddesses alongside them. Because I want every witch, as a high priestess myself, I want every witch to have real, significant, and permanently positive change through witchcraft. Because no witch should be going through life the hard way. No witch should be struggling. No witches should be waking up in the morning and thinking to themselves, oh, things won't get better until I go back to sleep again. That won't be you. That's not me. So I'm glad that I took time out tonight to share this story, because you need to know. You need to know the reality of being a witch, doing witchcraft, choosing a god or goddess, so that you can have their best, so that you can have your best life, because no witch should be struggling. I tried to tag team, tried to put Jesus and Hecate together, and it didn't work out for me. But when I got rid of Jesus, that's when my life really started to change for the better. And that will also be your story. You too will have real, significant, and permanently positive change. So once again, my name is High Priestess Autumn Venus. This is a live broadcast from Instagram. I will upload this onto Facebook and YouTube. Be sure to share this broadcast and tell a witch or two or three that there is a high priestess here in New York. Once again, my name is High Priestess Autumn Venus, who is anointed and appointed by Hecate to be a voice for witches who have ears to hear and hands to receive Hecate's best. Thank you, witches, for jumping on here, and I now release you